Everybody, what is up? I just want to wish you guys a happy new year, and I just want to let you guys know I came back from Europe. We were there for about 3 weeks, and I just wanted to do a travel tip video based on what I learned from my experience. We visited Germany, Switzerland, as well as Italy, and it was my real first time. I'd been to Germany once before for like a short period of time, but it was my first time really going and experiencing Europe for a long period of time. So I'm just going to run down some tips I learned, and let's start with booking your hotels. So in terms of booking our hotels, we used a website called Trivago, which I highly recommend. I've seen their commercials on TV, and that's what made me become aware of them. Basically, what they do is that they'll take one hotel room and they'll compare the price of that hotel room across a number of different websites. So you basically get the best price for that room. And what we found by booking our hotels is that we saved anywhere from 30 to 70% on our hotel room by booking through Trivago. So I highly recommend Trivago. The next thing is when you're booking your flight, I really recommend Google Flights Explorer. Google Flights Explorer, if you don't know, basically lets you set your destination and you can pick your dates, and it'll actually give you a bar graph of how much the prices vary from day to day. And you can actually look at the bar graph and see what the cheapest price is per day. And if you're flexible, you can get the best value for your money. The other thing too is that when it comes to budgeting, we didn't really know how much we'd be spending per day, but we found, and we journaled every day we were there, that typically, excluding hotels, we would spend anywhere from 40 to 75 euros a day on food. That includes breakfast, lunch, dinner. Some hotels have complimentary breakfast, as well as sightseeing, as well as taking public transit as well. So even shopping included. So we typically spend 40 to 75 euros a day. However, in Switzerland, it is so expensive in places like Zurich and St. Moritz and Zermatt, which we visited. I would probably budget a little bit more, like maybe 150 euros, Swiss francs a day, because everything is just so much more expensive in that country. The other thing I really recommend is that if you're flying on an airline, you should really check if they have like a free members program or a free miles program, because we flew with Delta and we just signed up with their Sky Miles program, which is free. And normally we bought economy class tickets, but because there were vacancies in first class, Delta will actually bump up their Sky Miles members. And so we got to basically fly first class on the way back. And the cool part too is that Sky Miles members get priority boarding, as well as you earn points from travel. So why would you not sign up for that? The next thing too is when it came to actually checking our hotels, we used TripAdvisor to see the reviews of the hotel, see pictures of the hotel from people who'd actually stayed there. We also used TripAdvisor to find the best restaurants in the cities we were visiting and the places, as well as see the top sites as well. TripAdvisor has like the top things to do in each city, and you can exactly see what are the most popular tourist destinations, what do people have to say about those places. So I really recommend TripAdvisor as well. The other thing we learned, especially in Italy, is that when you're planning your trip, you should really see where everything is in the city you want to visit in relation to your hotel. How do you get there by public transit? Because the Wi-Fi in parts of Europe is a little spotty, so it's better to do it at home, print out the maps. Although in Italy we found that a lot of the street names on the actual map on Google Maps did not match the street names out in the actual cities. So we'd be walking in Milan or Bologna, and a lot of the street names didn't even match. Even though we were in the exact same spot on the map, the street names were completely different. And I don't know why that is, but that was something we found. So I'd really recommend you guys use Street View when you're trying to figure out how to navigate, from your hotel to whichever place you want to visit. The other thing that we really were careful about is protecting our passports, because if you lose your passport, you got to go through a whole bunch of hurdles and you got to talk to the embassy or consulate. So the first thing we did before we left is we actually looked to see where the closest embassy and consulates were for the Canadian government. And then whenever we were out and about traveling and sightseeing, we would always carry our passports in these little pouches. So we just basically put them around our neck, put them under our clothes. We'd even put our money in here too. So there's like a little slot for your passport as well as for your euros or Swiss francs. And that way, especially when you're in Italy, you got to be a little careful, especially in the bigger cities, that people may pickpocket you or try to get your money or steal something from you. And it's also good that you're carrying your passport at all times, because that way you don't leave it in the hotel room and the cleaning staff may not steal it. So that's really important too. The other thing is that it's really important that you carry change whenever you're going to washrooms and stuff, because one thing we take for granted in Canada and the US is that public washrooms are free in most places. In Europe, I don't think I saw one free public washroom. We had to either pay for a public washroom, or if you're in a restaurant, you'd have to buy food there, and then you'd even have to pay for a washroom even after you've paid for service at a restaurant. So always carry change on you. Another reason to carry change is because even stuff like condiments at a McDonald's, they actually charge you for ketchup as well as, hot sauce. So when we were in Switzerland as well as Italy, they charged us like 35 or 50 euros for hot sauce. and ketchup. So it's important to have that. And the other thing too is when you're using public transit, like in Germany, it's important you don't carry large denominations of money because the actual machines will only give you a maximum amount of change. So when we were in Frankfurt, I think it says the maximum amount of change they'll dispense is 19 or 20 euros. So if you're paying with 100 and your train only costs 15 euros, you're only going to get, a maximum of 19 or 20 euros back, and you're going to lose all this money. So it's important you carry smaller denominations of bills. The other thing too is really important is that we carried bottled water wherever we went. All the cities we visited in Europe, you could easily drink the water because it was clean and you wouldn't get sick. And you go to a restaurant, and a lot of restaurants charge you for water. So when you're going having 3 meals or 4 meals, you're paying for water each and every time. Why not just fill up your bottled water at the hotel and just carry it with you wherever you go? And then the last thing I want to say is that when it came to actually traveling, I'm a pretty light packer, so we use these basically these travel cubes, which you can buy at like an outdoor store or even online, I'm sure, for pretty cheap. And there's 2 different sides. You can actually fold your clothes on and put them in each pouch. And then what it allows you to do is you can actually sort your dirty laundry from your fresh laundry as well as the trip goes on. And it actually saves you a ton of space. Like I was able to put a couple pants in here, as well as like maybe 3 or 4 shirts, as well as socks, and as well as my undergarments. So I really recommend traveling with a packing cube. The other cool thing is that if you can save a lot of space by folding or rolling your clothes, which is another cool thing too. So that basically does it for my experience in Europe. I'd love to hear your guys' comments, questions. I'm more than happy to answer them. I just want to wish you guys a happy new year. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Take care, guys.